Stephen A., you are in New York, no? Are you safe?
I'm in New York. I'm safe. I'm from this town. I mean, I'm not worried about the blizzard and all of this stuff. Everybody's scared to drive. That's not me. That's not how I roll.
Right. Stella should be worried about you. All right. So let's talk, because we haven't talked for a minute. So I want to get your take on a few things now that I have you on the show. I just heard Wendy and David talking about Andre's fine. His comments, what he said, big deal or no big deal?
Well, I think it's a big deal from the perspective that you're supposed to know better, and I know that he does. This guy is highly intelligent. His first 8 years in the NBA was in Philadelphia while I was working for the Philadelphia Inquirer for the most part. This guy knows what comes with the job description. He knows it's not just about what you do on the court, but how you carry yourself. He's never been in any trouble. He's a model citizen. He's a jokester. He's all of those different things. But he also is highly intelligent, and he knows how words like that would potentially resonate. So the fact that he didn't seem to care speaks volumes. Do I think it was a shot to some degree at Steve Kerr for him finding out that he wasn't going to play as opposed to being told by the media? Sure. Do I also think it was a shot at the league because they discussed it with their scheduling, their travel, the fact that they, had 6 games and 8 nights or whatever the case may be? I think that, or 9 nights rather, I think that resonated with them as well. When you've got guaranteed contracts, and in Andre Iguodala's case, getting paid $11.1 million this year, but you still have to acquiesce and capitulate to demands that you deem to be unfair or what have you. Words like that have come to the minds of African-American professional athletes, but it does not mean that you should articulate them at that particular moment, particularly with the cameras rolling and the microphones on. I think that he should have refrained from doing so. It's not a federal offense or anything like that, but Andre Iguodala knows better.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. Meanwhile, let's talk about Golden State and what they're doing. Everyone is saying that they're struggling. Is there any really cause for concern, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes, absolutely. I mean, the health of Kevin Durant is paramount because everybody keeps looking at the fact that it's just Kevin Durant. I don't look at it that way. I look at the fact that Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut departed from Golden State to facilitate making the necessary moves to acquire Kevin Durant. Well, guess what? Without Kevin Durant, you're not just without Kevin Durant. You're also without Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut, 2 individuals that helped guide you to 2 consecutive Western Conference Finals appearances. We know it's about the Splash Brothers, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. We know what Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala means to this team, but we cannot negate the importance of the rim protector that was Andrew Bogut and the defender that was Harrison Barnes. That team gelled pretty nicely. Harrison Barnes couldn't hit the backside of an ocean offensively in the finals, but he still defended. And Andrew Bogut, had he not gone down and had Draymond Green not gotten suspended for Game 5, I am here to tell you, I believe firmly that the Golden State Warriors would be standing here today as the reigning 2-time defending NBA champions back to back. But that didn't happen because those guys were out. And so when you take that into account, and now you see a Barnes and a Bogut gone, and Kevin Durant's health is questionable, the Golden State Warriors are clearly not the same team without them. Kevin Durant's got to get back, and he's got to be close to 100% for them not to win the championship, just to come out of the West. Because without Kevin Durant, they're not beating both Houston or San Antonio. I don't believe that to be the case. I think one of them will knock Golden State off unless Kevin Durant's healthy.
Okay, so I want to move to the NFL, but before I do, quickly, are you surprised that they are doing so poorly without Kevin Durant?
No, like I said, it takes an adjustment. You lose a guy that's such an integral part of it. It's going to be an adjustment period. But Kevin Durant is not just a star. He's a superstar, one of the top 2 players on the planet. He can average 30 in his sleep. You lose him. That is a devastating blow. You need to get him back. Otherwise, you're going to fall.
All right, NFL, shall we? Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott, I saw you talking about this earlier on First Take, still under scrutiny from the NFL for possible violations for conduct policy. Over this, on the weekend, there was this video, if we could show it, please. He pulled down a woman's top during a St. Patrick's Day parade in Dallas. It looked as if they were having some fun and he helped her along here. I don't know what that circumstance was, but do you see Zeke, his behavior specifically, as a possible problem for the Cowboys?
Yes, I do. First of all, I think it was something that was very, very stupid of him to do. That doesn't mean he's stupid. I'm not trying to a character assassinate him. I'm only talking about this specific action. It was flagrant stupidity on his part. You have to remember you have already been accused by an ex of assault. Yes, the police investigated it. That case was dropped. The NFL investigated it, supposedly had dropped it, then came back and said, no, we're still going to investigate this further. Even despite all of that, 3 months later, you lose to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. And in the aftermath of that game, Ezekiel Elliott is quoted reportedly saying he wants this investigation to come to an end. There is nothing to find. I did nothing wrong. I don't behave that way. Blah, 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 blah. You say all of that, and then you get caught on video doing something like that. That's just stupid. It's just stupid. You're in the middle of being investigated, and you play for the Dallas Cowboys, and you're an elite football player in the National Football League for America's team, which is the Dallas Cowboys. Not that they deserve to be the America's team, because we all know they've been a model of ineptitude for the most part for the vast majority of the last 22 years. But the point is, they're the Cowboys. You have all that attention, all that spotlight. And with the advent of social media and beyond and the age that we're living in, you would do something like that in public during a St. Patrick's Day parade when chances are everybody is videoing you because you're a Dallas Cowboy in an elevated position during a parade where they could put their cameras on you. What kind of stupidity do you not understand about that if you're Ezekiel Elliott? Makes no sense whatsoever. It was stupid. And as a result, the Dallas Cowboys have themselves a problem, not just because he's an elite player and one of the preeminent faces of their franchise, but they also have a problem because if you can be that dumb to make that kind of mistake, what else are you capable of? That's what critics and cynics are going to ask when it comes to you. You've got to know better. And I don't want to hear that he's 21 years of age. He is not a child. We have got to get to a point where we stop talking about folks at age 21 like they're children. You're smart enough to get your money. You're smart enough to position yourself to get your money. You're old enough to drink. You're old enough to represent your country if you had to go to war, for crying out loud. But you're not old enough to know better, that you got to conduct yourself with some level of decorum. That is nonsense, and it's inexcusable, and somebody needs to tell him before he really goes out there and get himself in trouble. And by the way, I'm going to remind y'all, he's still being investigated by the National Football League. How does this help him?
Yeah, let's go back to what you said. Somebody needs to tell him. Do you expect the Cowboys to punish him, not necessarily the NFL?
Well, I don't expect anything from the Cowboys. The Cowboys are concerned with being in the news, stealing headlines, being relevant from a marketing standpoint. We just see the individuals that get themselves in trouble. Everybody talks about their talent and what they're going to do because they were en route to a 13-3 season. What are the Cowboys going to do? What were my words, Curry? I said, are you sure they're going to be eligible to play? The Randy Gregory's of the world and others. Why? Right. Because what can go wrong does go wrong with this team. So I don't expect anything from the Cowboys. I would hope that Jerry Jones would sit them down and have a conversation. I would hope that he would find them. But at the end of the day, do I expect them to do anything? Hell no. The NFL, entirely different matter, because Roger Goodell can easily point to this as conduct detrimental to the brand, the shield of the NFL, and it might warrant a fine and a meeting to have a discussion so you can avoid putting yourself in these positions. But he has a wonderful family, by all accounts, a wonderful support base. They really need to sit down and remind Ezekiel Elliott what a special young man he is and what a special young man he can be. You just got to evade the nonsense.
Yeah, all jokes aside, that's a true statement there. Stephen A., it's good to know that you still love the Cowboys as much as you do. Things haven't changed a little bit. I appreciate you for joining us here on SportsCenter. Coast to coast, stay warm out there, my friend.
I'm all right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Y'all going to San Antonio. Y'all scared to go to San Antonio. And I'm going to ask you, why y'all forfeit the game?
I ain't never been one to be scared of anything, so I don't really know if, being scared of another team is, the right choice of words. No, we said we're going to rest this game, and then it's like, oh, man, LaMarcus and Kawhi out. We can definitely go win that for sure. Nah, we're going to rest like we said we were going to do.
All right, Brian Windhorst joining us now. Scared is a loaded word. No one wants to admit to being scared, especially not an NBA player. But Brian, should they be deeply worried at the current state of affairs there in Oakland?
First off, David, I'm scared of that mentalist. Maybe you could guess Oprah. Maybe you could guess Jesus. You're not guessing Vontaze Burfict, okay? I don't know what the hell that was. I'm actually pretty impressed that Draymond didn't go crazy on Isaiah Thomas. He did it out of respect there, because there's one guy in the NBA who I would not describe as scared. That's Draymond Green. The man is not scared of anything because he kicks grown men in the groin over and over with no fear of repercussion. That's number one. The Warriors actually have a really good week shaping up for them, David. They have 3 games coming up this week at home against Eastern Conference teams that are under 500 on long road trips. I think this is a get-well week for them. I've been waiting for Steph Curry to break out of his slump. I can see it happening as early as tonight against the 76ers. And also, if you look ahead at the Spurs' schedule, the Spurs have a packed schedule in April. They have 5 games in 7 days at one point. Greg Popovich is holding his players out of some of those games. Even though the Warriors are behind at the moment, I still think they recover and have a great chance at that 1 seed.
Okay, there's been a lot of talk, Brian, about is it okay to rest your players? We know that Steve Kerr did it, and some people said it was a little bit petty doing it on a Saturday night, a night that the NBA was very excited about. You say the arguments are a little backwards. How so?
Yeah, David, when everybody talks about the NBA and rest, they have this assumption that the NBA's first priority in the regular season is quality of the game. That's just not true, David. The NBA's #1 priority in the regular season is quantity. They are tasked